one of the things I love about magic is the part of the creative side, like
Mhm.
building your own stuff and then turning them into something amazing.
She's a Venezuelan illusionist, and she's recognized as one of the greatest exponents of female magic in Latin America, perhaps the world. And her talent and charisma is used to tell stories, these magical stories. And these magical stories have led her to win numerous awards, including the Latin American Magic Award at the Flasoma Chile competition in 2013 and at the Spanish National Award, which she won in 2016, in addition to other awards from different countries like Colombia and Venezuela. In 2018, she was a finalist on the program Got Talent Spain, which is like AGT but in Spain, where she ended up winning 2 gold passes and became the most viral magician at that time, with millions of views on her performances. She's also got a very active social media following with over 130,000 followers on a number of different networks. And in 2019, she participated in America's Got Talent, The Champions. And she actually made it all the way to the semifinals with these magical stories. In 2020, she was on an Italian program called Tu si che vales, and it was in Italy, where she told her magical story and in Italian. She actually spoke Italian and left the entire judges and audience speechless. And finally, in February 2021, one of her most recent accomplishments is actually fooling Penn and Teller on the TV show Fool Us on the CW network. So that's just kind of a short list of some of her many highlights and accomplishments, but she's much more than just that. And I think you'll really enjoy getting to know her in this interview. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Miss Dania Diaz. Check it out. Hola, Dania. Welcome to Making Magic. It's so happy to have you here.
I'm really excited. Thank you, Sean, for the invitation. I'm really excited for what we're going to talk here.
Yes, yes, and I'm really happy because you're actually my first international guest on this show. From across the pond, you are in Spain, correct?
Yes, I'm living in Spain.
Awesome, awesome. Well, here we are in the States, thousands of miles away, but through the magic of technology, it's like we're right here. So this is pretty awesome.
We are together.
I'm excited to get into this. So in the Making Magic podcast, I always ask my guests, my opening question is, I'd like you, Dania Diaz, to tell me a story about the very first thing that you ever created. This could be a piece of magic, or perhaps a prop for your show, or maybe an accessory for your show, something that you either made or built or created. If you can think of something there, and it could be good or bad, and funny stories are always welcome. So something there.
Well, since I was little, I love creating, I was like the inventor in my group of friends, like inventing games or stuff like that. I was like the fun, fun friend. But when I saw a magician on TV for the first time, I was 10 years old. And I remember saying, like, I want to do this. I want to do exactly this. And this magician, it was doing a quick change routine with his assistant. So I was 10 years old. I did not know how that go, but I still managed to create my own quick change show.
Wow.
With with what I went to my room and I put on like a top and shorts, and on top of that I put like a t-shirt and some pants, longer pants, and on top of that I put like a sweater and longer pants, and so each of these clothes covered the other. Mm-hmm. So I called my cousin that he was like my my partner in crime with these things. And I
Okay.
called her and I said, come over, we're going to make a magic show. So
Wow.
we took a hula hoop and put with some clips for the clothes, and we put a blanket. And I told him, like, I'm going to be here. You put this up, so take this off, and I will quickly take off the first layer of clothes that I have.
Uh-huh.
And then when I say so, you pull it down. So we called like our babysitter to watch our show, her quick change show, and it was obviously terrible. And we actually managed to amaze her somehow,
Yeah.
like I remember that I had like a king size bed that it was my stage, and my cousin, it was like with the hula hoop going up and down. And I was like, okay, go. And I took off the other layer, go. And I did like my first quick change, not knowing how it worked. I managed to do something similar.
Well, there's actually something to be said about that, because although it may seem trivial to you and it might seem kind of lame or not that exciting, the core concept here that I'm sure you learned from this and took away, and I think the audience can too, just the importance of getting started with something. Something you clearly found a passion. And even though you didn't have all of the tools or all of the knowledge, you said, let me just get something going here. And so, it's a start, and starting.
It's starting with what you have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
starting with what you have, and starting something is better than just thinking about it all the time and thinking, oh well, I'll do it when I have everything needed or when all the ducks are in the row. But
Yeah.
just the magic of getting started, rather than, I mean, some people, I know many magicians, performers, artists, they have amazing work that's never been released or anything because they're still finishing it. And they're never going to finish it because, as you know, the artistic process is never done. We're
Yeah.
always working, we're always improving. It could always be a little bit better. But that was, you actually answered my first 3 questions all in that story. The reason why you made it, which was purely out of inspiration, seeing
Yeah.
a quick change show. And what did you personally take away from that experience? What did you learn? Was there anything specific that you learned from that?
That I don't know. I really like to. One of the things I love about magic is the part of the creative side. Like
Mm-hmm.
building your own stuff and then turning them into something amazing. From this experience, I learned that I I don't know. Like, I'm very clever with some things. I was only 10 years old, and I still don't know how I managed to figure it out, because now I do quick change as it's supposed to be
Yeah.
done. And it's, well, it's not that far from reality. So for me, I was really proud of my 10-year-old self.
Yeah, I think it maybe set a light bulb off in your head, just saying, wow, I'm actually better at this than I thought, right?
Maybe, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. And knowing what you know right now, Dania, with all of your experience, and by the way, how long have you been into magic?
Well, when I saw this magician, I was 10 years old, and I
Okay.
started doing these little tricks and very simple tricks. But then I left magic aside because no one told me I could live with this doing magic. It was
Mm.
no one told me it was a profession. So I said, okay, now I'm older. I have to see what I want to be.
Hmm.
So I found magic again when I was 18 years old.
Oh.
I saw a magician in a party where I was working. I was like the animator. I did games for the kids, and there was a magician, the only magician in my city. And when I watched him, I was like, man, I love magic. I came back to me that feeling, and I had to tell him. And he was looking for an assistant. So, ta-da! We started working together for 3 years, and then I knew that magic, it was my path. It was my passion.
Interesting.
What
So
was the question again?
the The question. Well, I didn't get to the question. I asked how long you were into magic,
Ah, yes.
and you
So now I have 33, so it's been like 13 years that as a professional musician.
professionally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I was asking because this is the official question, which is knowing what you know right now, currently. What would you wish you would have told your younger self, hopefully to prevent making the mistakes that you maybe made earlier on in your career?
Wow, that's a very difficult question because
Deep.
I actually don't think I would change anything because everything that happened to me teach me in the process and I learn from it.
There
And
you
I
go.
really learn from it. And that's some lesson that you will never forget that makes you the artist and the magician that you are right now. If there's some advice that I could give my younger self is like stay true to yourself, you know. Don't let people tell you how to be, how to behave, how to dress, how to, you know, being a female magician is really hard. Also growing up surrounded by magicians
Sure.
telling you, why don't you wear heels, why do you I don't want to
Right.
do that. Like it's like some stereotypes that were in the past. So yeah, I would tell her that don't listen to anyone, you keep doing what you're doing, stay true to yourself, and everything will fall into place. Be patient.
Smart, smart. Yeah, no, that's great. And I like the fact that you said that you really wouldn't want to do anything different because you clearly have seen and understand. Well, you're kind of along the same thought process as me. I think everything happens for a reason, good or bad. And oftentimes these things that we call bad are actually good for us later on in our life. Because I know that for me it's true because at the end of every year, I look back on everything that happened to me and the sequence that it did, and I go, oh yeah, this thing was supposed to happen because it led to this thing, and then this one led to that.
Yeah.
And, oh, this mistake or this epic fail helped me go this way. So it's nice that you see that. And it also is very important for people to be themselves and not be pushed into a lane that's very uncomfortable. Sometimes being uncomfortable is a good thing, but when it has to do with who you are, just being genuine, genuine and sincerity always beats faking it and pretending to be somebody that you're not. Audiences,
I agree.
right? Audiences can pick up on that. You can pick up on that. You just feel weird, and it's just not right. So I'm glad you're being yourself. Which is
Exactly. And I went through many phases, like as a magician, you know, finding myself, and I wouldn't change a thing. And it was a very uphill, you know, like ups and downs. But you see my picture from the past, and I'm totally different style because I was searching who I wanted to be on stage. And I'm really happy that eventually I knew who I was. It's very hard to find yourself, but eventually you manage to do that if you keep
yes,
searching.
yes. I think oftentimes people are afraid to go searching because they don't know, afraid of the unknown. And it's nice, I guess what you've gone through is several different transformations because you are open to trying this, and that doesn't work, let's try that. No, let's try that. So realizing the different possibilities is also something important. Some people, like you said, people were trying to lock you in saying, oh, you're a female magician, this is exactly what you need to be doing, and then press you into that box.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I want to do what's true to me. So that's awesome. What about something that you recently made, Dania? Is there something, perhaps a performance piece or something that you built or created that you're okay with sharing with the audience?
Yes, of course. I'm very happy to. Well, first, it's not obviously it's not the my own creation. It's my version of the Sam the Bellhop story with cars that I did on AGT and I did on Spain Got Talent. But this was something that I've never seen, and then I realized that other magicians have done it. It's telling their personal stories, but for me, it just happened. I didn't knew there were other magicians that told their story with cards. I knew there was Sam the Bellhop, and I wanted to tell my story. So for me, that was a very interesting creative process, because it was just like, this is what I have to do. This is what I need to do. So I stayed up all night just working on that routine. And when I finished it, when you get in the sun and you cannot stop, and then times go by. And then when you finish, you're like, whoa, this is it. Well, that's a routine that it's very important for me, because it changed my life when I presented in this Spain Got Talent, where I got the Golden Buzzer, and everything changed from that moment. Beautiful. And also, it led me to be in Fulos. But when I got the chance to be in Fulos, I got the invitation to be on Fulos many years ago, before Got Talent. But I couldn't travel to the US because I had issues with my papers, and I couldn't leave the country. Okay. So after Got Talent here, I received another invitation, and I was like, okay. They wanted me to do the story with cards, but I knew that wasn't going to fool them. So I started thinking, what do I have? And where you storage in your mind all those ideas you have in your life, and I was going through all those ideas, and I was like, I like this one. And it was like an idea I had, I don't know when, walking down the street. I knew I wanted to do something different, a new routine for my show, and I wanted to get inspired by something from my culture.
Nice.
So I remember this beautiful image from weddings, where they bake a cake with a lot of strings coming out of it, okay, like ribbons. And all the single ladies take one ribbon, pull them out, and the one that gets a ring is the one that it's going to get married next. It's like throwing the bouquet, but with ribbons inside the cake. Cool. And that thing about that image, the cake and all the ribbons coming out, and the destiny, who is going to pick the one with the ring. So I started giving it some thoughts, and then I thought about a coincidence with a couple where one chooses a string, the other one chooses another, and they match. Okay, so fate got them together. And then I thought, the legend of the red thread. Do you know about that legend?
The legend of the red dress.
It's no dress, not thread. Thread.
The legend of the red threads. My bad. I heard you wrong. Okay.
No, it's okay. I'm struggling with that word. So everything clicked then. And when Fulos invited me, I knew that I had to do that. So I started thinking about the method, about how I wanted it to look, and I got to some conclusions, but not the one that I like. So I did a very, very smart thing. So I called a friend that is also a magician, but he works with the creative team.
Nice. Consultant.
And he helped me develop and solve this method, because I was stuck and I did not have much time to think. This was like very soon, everything. So he helped me, and he had like the piece that I needed, to make like this perfect illusion. So we worked together and we create this box, this heart-shaped box with a lot of strings from one side and another from the other side. So couples brought to the stage, one choose one string, the other one's a free choice. And then they are tied to their pinkies. And then I pull out the other strings, and then I open up the box, and they are matched, with the same.
Oh, it's one. And that's it. One continuous.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
There's only one, and the rest are not connected to anything. That's
Nice,
the
nice.
whole.
Oh, that's different. That's cool. Yeah.
So yeah, that's like my baby. That magic is. I'm very proud of it.
Wow. Okay. So I love that. Taking other passions or other parts of you and then putting it into the magic. That's all about creating high art. That's what we call high art. It's elevated art rather than just doing something as it has always been done with the exact 1, 2, 3 formula. You go, hey, what kind of other things can I throw in the mix there? And then also it fits you so well because I would assume this is part of Spanish culture?
No, I'm from Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
Venezuela is yeah, in your side.
Okay.
Yes. So no, I moved to Spain like 4 years ago.
Okay, wasn't aware of that. Okay.
It's okay. I mean, I left Venezuela when 6 or 7 years ago now. I went to Colombia. I lived there for a few months, and then I moved to Panama, and I lived there for 2 years. And then I came to Spain, and now I have been living here for 4 years. But I'm Venezuelan.
From Venezuela. Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to nail down is this whole thread and cake box thing. Is this part of Venezuelan culture or part of any?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Now we got
Exactly.
it. All right. So you're able to incorporate something from your home culture into
Exactly.
your magic, which automatically right there makes you stand out, which is part of the goal, I guess, to stand out, give them something different. That's really cool. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Now you're in Spain. Have you had a chance to? This is just random. I was thinking this. Have you got a chance to sit down with Juan Tamariz by any chance?
Of course, many times.
Nice, lucky you.
I'm very lucky girl. Yeah. Also, I'm so thrilled to be able to call Dania Diaz my friend, Woody Aragon is my friend.
Wow.
Like I feel very blessed from having them as a friends.
Spain's finest right there. Those
yeah.
names, they are gems from Spain. So much good magic.
Really.
Cool. What about some, now when you make these things, I know you said you had the help of somebody else. Are there any things that you build yourself out of, like sawing wood or drilling things or making things, or do you prefer to delegate that to other people? You come up with the idea, because some creative people I talk to, they say I just do the idea and then I let everybody else do it, or some people they do the whole thing from beginning to end. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I really have never worked wood before, and I do not. I'm not an expert with tools, and here's my cat. He wants
Ta-da!
So, but I love. Say hi. But I love, I love creating stuff with my hands. When I have an idea, and some people love it, others hate it. But when I have an idea, I have to make it. I don't care if it doesn't work, but I have to put the pieces together,
Thing.
Yeah, like a prototype or something, no?
Prototypes, yep.
There's a magician in Argentina, Dava, who is a very creative person, and he has a conference where he calls this emotion in motion, something like that.
Emotion
you have to,
in motion?
In motion, or you could say emotion in action in Spanish. Well, yeah, something like that. That you have to, that feeling when you have an idea, that adrenaline, you have to put it in action, because if you let it pass, the moment passes. So I am like that. I've always been like that. When I have an idea, I have to find pieces. Even if I don't know how to do it, I try. When I realize that I don't have the ability to create what I'm thinking, I call some friends and I obviously send them or talk to them about the idea. And especially if I want to make it very professionally,
Sure.
But yes, I have a creative team. I have another person that makes gimmicks. Other gimmicks I build them by myself, but with cards and stuff, something more simple to manage, you know. Scissors, glue.
Yeah.
uh,
Tape.
but yeah, I like to create my own stuff. Depends on the idea. I call or not some friends to help me.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Prototyping's great, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. I do it all
Yeah.
the time. I was talking to one of my other guests, Xavier Mortimer, told me
Wow.
that, yeah, you should check out that interview if you haven't seen
I
it.
will.
If you haven't seen it, it's a fantastic interview.
I will. I will.
Clearly, he's extremely creative and knows what he's doing, and he told me that he used to, in the beginning, build all of his own stuff and bring it all the way to the stage. And then he realized he would rather spend more of his time performing than building, although he likes both. So now he's at the point where he just does conceptual creation here, and then has people like Joaquin Ayala out there in Vegas.
Yeah, I know him.
Stuff. I figured you would. He's in your territory.
He's the
there.
best, yeah.
And other people, illusion builders. So it's nice that you're at the point to where you can just call on friends to help. So
yeah, I'm really happy that I have that resource. Yeah.
But remember too, it's also amazing that you still have enough drive and desire to say, oh, I got this idea, let me just get something going. Again, just like your original story about the quick change, you just need to get something in motion. The emotion in motion.
That's me. I let me say that I have broke tables trying to do things and I broke many materials, and then I'm like, okay, it didn't work, so I have no table anymore. Okay, I have no whatever. So, but it's worth it, definitely.
The end result is always worth it. Are there any, in America they call them maker techniques, like any of these techniques used to build stuff? Anything that you're interested in learning this year, perhaps, to add to your skill set? Or would you just prefer to just...
But for makers,
Anything you considered learning or were interested in learning? Or do you just want to go from concept to finished thing as quick as possible so you can perform that?
I have been wanted to learn how to do some things that I cannot reveal.
Okay. Yeah. Good call. We're not revealing anything. Yes.
But yeah, with small props, nothing big. Yeah, just small props.
I guess we're talking more about technique here.
No, like for building little gimmicks and stuff.
Got it. What about your favorite thing, prop, gimmick that you've designed in the past? You have something that I know we talked about your version of the story for Penn and Teller. Was there anything prior to all of that you worked on that just is kind of like your thing that you still keep in your act or your performance today?
Well, yeah, it's not like wow, but I have a routine which with this routine I won several prizes in Latin America and also a prize here in Spain. I wanted to do like a purse where a hand comes out of the purse and hands me things and stuff. And well, I that one I made it myself, and
nice.
I put the compartments, and I do the whole trick thing
to make it work.
So yeah, I think that was a long time ago. Yeah, and it worked. It looked very good on stage, and it was nice. What else? I wasn't prepared for this question.
That's okay. I will edit out all of the thinking cuts.
Okay. No, yeah, I mean, maybe I have built more things, but I cannot remember.
That's okay. No, that answer is great. I'm happy with that answer. The hand that comes out of the purse.
The purse. The thing. I can send you some videos of that.
Actually, yeah, that would be great. I can splice it in while we're talking so people can see if you're okay with that. So
yeah, no problem.
Awesome. So we got the hand coming out, the purse. What about during your process making these things? What would you, Dania Diaz, consider your biggest DIY fail? Like something that you were making and it just kind of fell apart or broke, it blew up, things got caught on fire. I've heard a lot of funny stories, some scary
Oh
stories.
my God. I don't think I have felt many risky things, you
Oh, okay.
know? Um, no, just low key and very safe stuff
Oh, okay.
going on here. But as I say, I wanted to do something with the table, so I took a drill and I made a mess and I broke the table, and that's it. And it never worked.
So you were drilling something on top of the table and then it went through the table and broke the table?
Yes, it went through, and then I said, "Well, no. The first time it went through, and I was like, we'll try it again, like here." and, and all the materials I was using, they were not for that task. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I ruined the table, man.
Well, you consider yourself lucky if that's the worst thing that's ever
Yeah.
happened to you. That's nothing. Nothing. I've heard some guests tell me. Tony Clark, who I interviewed, his episode will eventually be coming out. He has some things catching on fire in his stories. Some big things.
Wow.
that caught on fire while he was in the middle of a live performance in a very fancy place. That's what I remember from that story. So stay tuned. He had some dangerous, crazy stuff happen.
My God.
So
yeah, I think I do very safe magic, and I like to stay here.
Okay, fair enough. What about, is there anything that you have ever created by accident? And could have been from something that you were working on in the past or something recently, perhaps. And it was like a mistake you made or a mistake you made while building or making or working on something, and you go, you know, that's really good. I want to keep that in my show.
There's something that happened, but maybe I work on that later, but it hasn't been, it's not part of the show, but it happened and it gave me like an idea. It was like a nightmare for me. Okay.
Oh.
So I was going to perform in a stage for 2,000 people. I was opening the show with a story with cards. I was in the middle of the theater with the cameras and the big screen. And I was like, hello and welcome to the festival, blah, 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 blah. And then I appear a deck of cards and I was going to tell the story of the festival. So I open the deck, I do a flourish, I open a fan, but when you do a fan with cards, push too hard and the cards can fall out. Well, they did. So they fall from the hand and they got into the table all mixed. And I was like, okay, so, and I continue just hoping that there wasn't so much mess with the cards, because they had to match with what I was saying.
Correct.
So I managed to get through that story and everything. I had to pick some cards from the floor, but it turned out well. It turned out very well, actually. That magicians in the audience asked me, how did you do that story if all the cards were mixed in the table? And I was like, new thing I'm trying. So that was a very interesting idea because they actually mix themselves in the table when they fall, and it was a miracle, a true miracle that they at the end match.
Yes. So just to be clear, this wasn't something that happened for real yet. It was actually a dream that you had in your mind while you were sleeping.
No, this happened.
Oh, it happened for real. It really
happened.
Oh, because when you said a nightmare, I was thinking like you went to bed at night.
No,
and this was like,
it was a nightmare for me, but a live nightmare. It happened. It really happened.
But it was happening live. Wow. Well, that's one heck of a story there. Wow. So you were able to whatever happened, you were able to somehow take control again and get everything sorted out.
Yeah, I don't know, experience makes you like move forward and don't think just do, and don't stop talking, and keep moving your hands, and it turned out better than the original.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. See, that's the difference between an amateur and a pro. An amateur would go, oops, sorry, can we
Start again?
Can we start the whole thing all over again? Yeah, exactly. But I love hearing stories about people changing things on the fly, midstream. I've had to do that a lot, especially during close-up magic, that there's so many little variables. And it's nice with close-up magic, you can tweak things on the fly, and oftentimes if you're good, people have no clue. And it's just, it's pretty amazing. If you can keep the flow going, as long as you keep the flow going, nobody's going to know that there was a screw up there.
Exactly. Experience gives you the only experience.
Yes, live experience. What inspired you to be a creator, a creative magician, Dania?
Well, I don't know. Since I was little, I remember I loved art. I love music. I love to dance. Both of my brothers are musicians, but I never managed to play an instrument. They did. They are drummers, they're guitarists. I mean, they play a lot of instruments, but I never managed to do that. So when I found magic, I said, this is my instrument.
That's your
and
instrument.
And I was like, you cannot do this to my brothers, because they were like, you cannot play instruments. And I was like, you cannot do magic. So I think from that moment, I knew that this was the way I wanted to express myself. Since I was little, my mom encouraged us to poetry, and I wrote a lot since I was little. I write my journal, my diary, call it whatever. And then when I was, in this path, getting to know who I was as a person and also as a magician, I found that I could do both, like combine magic, my poetry, and also my personal stories. I mean, I've always been jealous of my brothers. I've always been jealous of musicians, that they can tell a story and get goosebumps, like connect in another level with other emotions. So since I cannot sing or play an instrument, I use magic to tell stories, tell my personal stories, and I get inspired by life itself.
That's great. It's always nice to grow up in a creative family or an expressive family. You had brothers that were musicians. Nice. When I was growing up, before I even got into magic, I was into music. I was into hand percussion.
Oh,
drumming.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's all coming full circle now. I'm incorporating my musical ability into my show.
That's amazing. That's the beauty about magic, that you can, combine it with whatever you want.
Yes, it only took me 18 years to figure it out, though.
Only 18?
Only 18 years, yeah. No big deal, but I'm finally touching the surface, uncovering what's really there. But it's all part of the process.
Now you are prepared. Now you are prepared to do it.
Oh, I'm inspired, too, by listening to your story. That's why I have amazing guests like Dania Diaz here. So, is there anybody that you personally look up to in the creative space, whether it be creative magicians? I know we talked about some amazing creative Spanish magicians out there in Spain, but even in other art forms or.
Well, I have to start by naming magicians.
Sure, go for it.
That really are, like, I admire them so much. Well,
absolutely.
Adrián Carratala, who is the one who helped me creating the trick with the threads, the red thread of destiny.
Nice.
He has a magic team that is called Thinking Paradox. They are really good. Also, from the US, Paul Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Since I was starting in magic and I saw this man, I was like, yes, he thinks out of the box. Like
There
I
is no
love what he
box
does.
for him.
There's no box, exactly.
Never was.
Exactly. And also Juan Esteban Varela, he's a magician from Chile who has a show that is magic for blind people.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very, very interesting.
So it's magic in the dark because if you're not blind, they put a blindfold and you can live the experience. So for me, he's one of the biggest creative persons I've met in my life.
Yeah. Wow. I wonder if that was him, because at Magic
Probably.
Live, the convention in Magic Live in Vegas several years ago, they did a blind magic in the dark thing. Must have been him.
Probably it was him. I think he's the only one who's doing that.
And his name is Juan, what is it?
Juan Esteban Varela.
Juan Esteban Varela.
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 Yes.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Pretty good Espanol for a white boy in America, okay?
Pretty good. I'm surprised.
I try to respect other cultures and languages. Cool. No, yeah,
Nice.
all good names. Actually, the first person please say the first person, the one that helped you with the string. I want to get that right too. What was it again?
Adrián Carratalá. It's a difficult name to pronounce. Adrián Carratalá.
I'll have you spell it for me, and I will put a subtitle there.
Of course.
Because I don't want to screw that one up. I'm just going to stay in my lane and leave it at that. But this is all good. Thank you for sharing your inspirations. Paul is another great. Paul is just incredible. I've had a chance to work with him on and off over the years with different projects, and it's his natural state of mind. Let's just say that. He doesn't even have to try.
I would love to meet him.
You should. It's mind-blowing. He's a one of a kind. So as we get close to wrapping this thing up here, Dania, what resources, if you can think of any resources that you would recommend to my audience, both the people who are watching and listening, to help them get in a creative mind? Maybe there are books or something that you might recommend, or maybe activities. Some guests recommend certain exercises that you can do to help put you in a better, more creative state of mind. If there's anything that you want to recommend.
Let me think. Well, I can say like what I do, of course. When I want to create something, I sit in front of the computer, I pour myself a drink. Can be alcohol, no. Like just
I'm not advocating anything here. I'm just letting you talk.
No, it doesn't have to be alcohol, but it's a drink that you like and you enjoy, set the mood.
Sure.
To feel comfortable and to flow. And I put some like uplifting music. I don't know what type of music. I just put uplifting music, and it's that music that when you hear it, I start coming up with scripts and ideas, and I don't know how that happened, but that's the music that I love to put when I'm creating. Also to go to the theater, see what museums, watch all type of arts to get inspired. And because all these things that you see and that you live and that you feel and experience, they all get inside of your head and they are all mixing together, and they are just waiting for you to bring them out.
Right. Yes. And that's your process. Simple as that, right?
Yeah, it's very simple.
The actual process itself is simple, but I'm sure filtering down to get to the end result it's a bit of a process. Takes time, right?
It is. It does take time, but
yeah, we call that a deductive reasoning. You start big and then you gradually filter it down until you get to that exactly what you're looking for.
I love to learn those terms with you because I don't know how my head works like technically, but I just know it just works.
That's what I'm here for. That's why I'm the host. I help try to clarify things a little bit. But no,
Awesome.
it makes perfect sense. It's kind of similar to mine. I'm heavily music driven. I think the audience can, what the audience can take away, just the core concept here is find what excites you, whatever medium excites you, whether it's visual, audio, or it's maybe something that you smell or taste, right? Something that can get you going. And then Dania sits in front of the computer, and I'm assuming that's there so you take notes or something.
Yes, yes. Mostly scripts because I get inspired by those scripts, you know. And also I do these personalized stories with cards for different events that I might not be connected with that story, but I have to set up the mood and I have to be very involved in that. And yes, it just helped me with the music and just letting it flow, not thinking so much, just letting it flow and then working on what you have.
Got it. That is the Dania Diaz way of brainstorming.
Exactly.
As a millennial incorporating technology rather than an actual paper notepad and an actual pen.
I cannot write that fast. If I could, I would do it on paper, but I think so fast that I need to, you know.
Okay. So you type faster than you write, basically.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Makes sense. You figured out what works for you, and I hope that my audience, both listening and watching, can get inspired by that process. Perhaps, you can kind of do what Dania is doing. Put yourself in a proper state of mind, and if you're good with the computer that way, or just a notebook, a notepad. I like to go to the park, outside, away from technology sometimes.
That's also nice. Yeah.
Yeah, be in a nice headspace there and just start writing. But music is a great help for me too. One of my other guests, Adam Wilbur, from Pyro and other things he created with Illusionist, he's heavily music driven as well. And he said sometimes he purposely turns off the music because that influences him too much. And he gets a result that maybe he wasn't looking for purely because of what was playing in the background. So it's got to be in tune for what moves you the best. So this is all good. This is all great. And this is
awesome.
Yeah, this has been an amazing deep dive into how the mind of Dania Diaz works. And how can my viewers and listeners find out more about Dania Diaz if they want to learn?
Of course, well, they can follow me on Instagram where I upload everything, my life, where I perform, everything I'm doing. My Instagram is Dania Diaz 1, that is Dania Diaz 1, number 1, yes. And also on YouTube is Dania Diaz Magia, it's magic in Spanish. And Twitter also the same, Dania Diaz Magia.
Got it. Those links have appeared underneath your box where you're talking so the viewers can check that out. Hope everybody was listening. The links to those places will be dropped in the show notes and the video description as well, guys. And Dania, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. Well, in your case, it's the evening where you are in España, for chatting with me and dropping some knowledge here. This was great. And you guys have been watching and listening to another episode of the Making Magic podcast. And we'll see you all on the next one.